What's going on, everyone? So Lakers have a lot to figure out this offseason. Obviously, they still got to get the head coaching situation figured out. Did a whole video. Lakers are in the process this upcoming week of starting the interviews with several coaches. Go check out that video after this one. But beyond the head coaching department, you got the draft coming up. Lakers are supposed to have the 17th pick in the draft. Obviously free agency, and then you have the trade market. And the Lakers, more likely than not, are going to be very active. Obviously, they're going to be tied to every star that is available or may potentially be available or whatever, right? A lot of smoke, a lot of talk about a Trae Young. We'll see how that goes, how that develops. But nonetheless, right, the Lakers, I imagine, and I've talked about heavily, are going to be very active in the trade market, right? The Lakers should have 3 tradable firsts, a couple pick swaps, and 5 seconds that they can use to kind of reshape, and retool this roster. Lakers really aren't in a position to tank. I've seen some people throw out the idea of like, why don't we just rebuild, trade LeBron, trade Anthony Davis? We can't. We don't own our own picks. The Pelicans are going to get next year's pick. They're supposed to defer this year's pick. You're in a position where you got to go all in right now, which I don't know why you wouldn't, right? People talk about how we're right there or we were close or, whatever. It's just we ran into the wrong team and we're going to go from that to like, oh, let's rebuild, retank. Doesn't make any sense. But a couple concerns with the Lakers is the lack of cap space they have this offseason. Now, there are a couple things that could happen to where the Lakers maybe could get to their full mid-level exception, maybe have a little wiggle room. But more likely than not, what's going to happen is they're going to have their taxpayer mid-level available to them and a bunch of, smaller, vet minimum deals. That's where the Lakers are more likely to be. All right. So the idea, and like I see a lot of people throwing out, like, we need to sign DeMar DeRozan. We need to sign, Nick Claxton. We need to get these guys. It's not going to happen, right? Because they would have to take vet minimums, and they're not going to take vet minimums, right? Maybe you can convince like a Valanciunas to take a taxpayer mid-level. Got to keep in mind that hard cap shoes, so you might be in this tough spot to where you got to shape and put enough of a roster together. Right? You look at teams like Minnesota right now and Denver. They look like they're just in another league above everybody right now. They just look like 2 juggernauts just battling it out, 2 titans going after it. But more likely than not, the Lakers, however they reshape and retool this roster, it's going to come from the trade market. It's where the Lakers are going to hang their hat. Now, can they get maybe a DeMar DeRozan or, Paul George or, maybe they get a couple pieces, right? Maybe it's like a DeJounte Murray and, you go get like a Dorian Finney-Smith and Alex Caruso, and maybe you piece together and you do multiple trades. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lakers pull off several trades. And obviously if they go for like the Trae Young trade, then it's probably that and then like a bunch of vet minimums and then whatever is left. Technically, depending on what it costs asset-wise, you may be able to make some other like smaller moves. Like let's say you trade all 3 firsts and like a pick swap, right? Well, the Lakers still have 5 seconds, so those have value. You may be able to get another piece or 2. Lakers like Rui Hachimura, they were able to get for like 4 seconds, right? So like, maybe you could go get a guy for a couple seconds, something like that. Maybe you could convince somebody in free agency to take a discount, take a flyer on a guy like, like Kevin Porter Jr., where, he has a lot that he needs to prove. He has a lot that he needs to kind of show and regain a more positive image. And the Lakers brand is a great place to do that, right? But there are reports coming out that the Lakers are to be aggressive and active on the trade market and trading their 2024 first round pick. So what this means is, which I don't think is a big shocker, which I don't think is a big surprise to anybody, but what this means is that the Lakers are more likely than not going to trade the 2024 first, which means we probably get our first or maybe even our biggest major trade at the trade deadline or the draft day, right? So that gives us, we may kind of have an idea of like what this roster is going to kind of look like as soon as draft night, like literally. And it's kind of, because again, if the Lakers say trade for a Trae Young, well, it's Trae, LeBron, Anthony Davis, say Jared Vanderbilt, Max Christie, And then it's like, okay, we got Christian Wood, and now we need to round out the other, 9 guys or 8 guys with vet minimums and stuff like that, right? Like, maybe you convince Torian Prince stay, or Jackson Hayes opts in, or things like that. So maybe it's really only like, 5 or 6 guys that you need to kind of figure out as far as like depth goes. But nonetheless, right? The other side of that coin would be like, what if they don't do something like that? What if it's like, what if it's a trade for like, a DeMar DeRozan, right? Just name that popping in my head. Again, like let's say DeMar DeRozan. Let's say DeMar wants out. Chicago's like, okay, we'd like to get something back for you, and they're like, and Lakers call and are like, hey, we'll trade for DeMar. We'll give you this year's first, and then we'll draft for you, and then give us DeMar, and then we'll throw whatever, some D'Lo's contract or something like that that's expiring, right? Whatever. So you figure something out. Lakers. My point is, Lakers will have options. Lakers will have things to work for, which also means that the Lakers aren't more likely than not going to draft anybody. I know a lot of people have, kind of this guy and that guy, and we want this guy, we need a center and whatnot. And I'll go over, like, once we get closer and we move into like the month out or whatever of the draft, I'll start breaking down various players and guys that I want, even in the second round, because you never know. Like the Lakers, if they can't find something and they have to draft a guy, it's always a possibility that they just end up drafting a guy. Also, again, in the second round, they have a pick there where maybe they do that, or maybe they buy a pick. So there's still value in talking and discussing potential draft picks and things like that, because you never really know. Just because they're active and just because they're going to be in the pursuit of trading that pick doesn't always necessarily mean that they will. But why I'm mentioning this is, like, don't get your hopes too high on a guy that you're like, we need to go get him. This is the guy that changes the fate, because again, more likely than not, the Lakers are going to end up trading that pick. So don't fall too in love with the idea of player X coming over, Zach Edey, right? Guy that I see a lot of people throw out that they want, right? Like, yeah, okay, cool. He's a big center, could make a lot of sense for the Lakers because they need somebody in that department. But chances are the Lakers aren't going to do that, right? And, there's also the potential of undrafted players, right? I mean, even Bronny, there's still conflicting reports and reports going back and forth that are like, Lakers might actually trade for Bronny. And then, no, they're not going to trade for Bronny. LeBron isn't putting pressure on the Lakers to trade for Bronny. It's not, it's not do or die for LeBron to trade for Bronny, right? Like, I think more, there's always the possibility that Bronny just ends up, becoming an undrafted player and the Lakers just pick him up as an undrafted player. He could always do the Austin Reeves route, where if he's not a first round pick, and let's say he gets into the second round, it's always possible that he just kind of forces and pushes away. Hey, if you draft me, I'm just going to go back to whatever. I'm going to go play overseas or whatever, right? Like, to where he kind of forces himself and pushes himself to go to the Lakers. That's always a possibility. So I definitely think that there will be options for the Lakers in the draft space, again, as far as like picks go, or undrafted guys go, second round picks, things like that. But more likely than not, the Lakers are going to trade any and every pick possible to try to retool, revamp, and put this roster in a position to contend with the Minnesotas, with the Denvers, with the Boston Celtics of the world. Again, it's going to be a wild ride, and it's the Lakers. So every player, every rumor, every murmur, every maybe is all going to be linked to Lakers. Agents use the Lakers as leverage to try to get better deals and whatnot, right? Like, or to try to, teams will use the Lakers to try to raise the price because, hey, look, we're going to trade them to the Lakers if you don't, make that 2 firsts rather than a first, right? Because the Lakers are offering us a first and a second or whatever, right? Like, it's leverage. Lakers are a big name, big brand. Anything mentioning the Lakers, the media is going to talk about, which then in turn puts spotlight on any potential deals, any potential trades. It's just how it goes. But I don't think it's a surprise that the Lakers are going to be active in trade talks. I fully expected it, as I'm sure many of you have. But just don't fall in love with the idea of any particular draft pick, because they're probably, even if they do get drafted by the Lakers, they probably get shipped out. It's probably just like, oh, we're drafting him, but it's drafting him to trade him is more likely than not going to be the case. But again, we'll see. Time will tell. I just hope the Lakers got to get this right. Got to get it right with the coaching. Got to get it right with the players. You can't. Last thing we want to do is like, we traded everything, we sold the farm, and now we're still a play-in team, or we're not really truly a contender or whatever, right? But we'll see. Whatever it is, I'm going to support it. I'm going to be positive, and we'll talk about it. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Is this something that you expect? Do you think, no, the Lakers should keep the pick and draft somebody? Again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, I'd love to hear it. So let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So if you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.